The big dream is that we get funding to be able to put together not just annual banquets, but conferences where we bring students together and educate them on STEM fields. We educate them on how do you apply for scholarships. We educate them on preparing for college. We just want to be able to really help and guide high school students and middle school students, but really guide them in helping them to be that future STEM workforce that we need so desperately in the labor market.
This is Associations Thrive, the podcast celebrating successful associations and their leaders. I'm your host, Joanna Pineda, CEO and Chief Troublemaker at Matrix Group International. Listen in as top association executives tell all, revealing the creative and innovative ways they're increasing membership, generating revenue, nurturing engagement, and reimagining their organizations. By the way, if you've launched a new initiative, created new member services, or updated your governance structure and are seeing great results, I want to hear your story, and so do my listeners. I'd love to have you as a guest. Go to podcast.matrixgroup.net and apply to be on Associations Thrive. Now let's dive into this week's show. Today, I'm speaking with Celeste Warren, founder of Destination STEM Inc. Celeste, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, Joanna.
Celeste, tell us about Destination STEM. What do you do?
Destination STEM is a nonprofit founded by myself and my daughter, Christina, and my son, Stephen. And we provide resources, educational awareness, and scholarships to students of color and those in need that are interested in pursuing STEM-related degrees and careers.
So give me a sense of the numbers here. How many students are you supporting? What kind of support are you offering?
We offer virtual mentoring and tutoring, and we leverage college students and young professionals who just graduated to mentor middle school and high school students in STEM fields, and also tutoring as well. So that's one thing that we do. We provide scholarships, and we have tried to build up the number of students that we're giving scholarships to. And so this past year, we were able to give out the largest amount we've been able to in our young life, which was 10. This year, we're going to double that. And then we also have a virtual learning center where we have a speaker series, a leader series, because a lot of times students don't see people in STEM careers that look like them. So we want to make sure that we correct that. And we interview various different leaders of color that are in STEM fields and give them the opportunity to talk about their careers and all of that. We have virtual college tours on our site and also providing information on different careers as well. We're trying to make it easy for students to be able to have access to all of these learning materials, these learning resources in a virtual format, because we want to be more national in nature. And so while we're located in Eastern Pennsylvania, we are national in nature and want to provide resources no matter where they live across the nation.
You know, Celeste, it's so interesting. So many of my guests talk about how representation matters, how it's so important for young people to see people like them in positions of leadership and professions that maybe they aspire to. And I had an experience recently where a young Asian American woman came to work for me and she said, "It's so exciting to work for an Asian woman." And I thought, wow, is that really that rare? And she said, well, in my life, it has been rare. And she says it's so neat to work for an Asian American woman because maybe in the future, she can see herself running a company or leading a team. So I guess we see on a big scale and on a little scale that representation matters. And you see that every day.
Absolutely. When I was working for a global company, I was in human resources. And in the last 10 years, I was the chief diversity and inclusion officer in healthcare, in pharmaceutical industry. And I saw it every day in the workforce. I saw it in the labor market. And so, from my point of view, it's something that we absolutely have to try to correct because you do feel good when you see other people. You walk in a room and you're not the only one.
Right.
You see other people who look like you, who had the same challenges that you had coming up through your career. And there's just this connection.
Well, Celeste, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to Destination STEM, but I want to turn to your journey for a second. You've got this really interesting background. You've got this corporate background, but you've got this through line of DEI and really helping underrepresented groups. So how do you get to become a founder of an organization like Destination STEM?
Throughout my life, even starting as a small child in Western Pennsylvania, my father was the first Black teacher, first Black principal in that area. And so I saw every day from him what the challenges were of being the only. And I learned from him as well, because he wasn't the type of person to come home and just complain. He was very disciplined in the fact that he talked about not just the challenges, but ways to overcome them. So I learned about that all throughout my childhood years, my formative years. So when I started working, I had the same mindset. How do I create a more inclusive environment in every job that I had coming up through my life? And even college, when I went to grad school, at Carnegie Mellon. And the summer before that program, I was part of a program where there were many of us that didn't have some of the requisite courses. And even though we were accepted in the program, we went to a summer program, and it was one that was focused on getting people of color into policy, to understand policy, and into the program. So there was about 60 of us that went through that program. So through my life, I have had the opportunity to really learn and grow with these types of opportunities. So for me, when I was working and I was doing a lot of good work from the standpoint of being the chief diversity and inclusion officer, but I wanted something for me. I wanted something that I could say, I started, I founded, and it was something that needed to start young with kids in middle school and high school. And a lot of people in corporations, they're not really focused on that. They're looking at the labor market that's out there right now, the kids in college. And for us, if we really want to get students interested in STEM, we have to start early. And that was something that was a realization for me that I saw through my kids, Christina and Steven, where they were talking about, and I knew like there was not a lot of teachers of color that looked like them in their schools. I remember Joanna middle school. So my oldest, she was going into the 6th grade into middle school. They had an orientation for parents and the kids. And after it broke, and then we went to different parts of the middle school to see the school. And I remember walking up to the principal with my daughter. And I said, well, how many teachers of color do you have here at this middle school? And he hemmed and hawed. And the answer was they didn't have any. But he said, but it's something that we're definitely going to be working on, Mrs. Warren. We definitely want to be working on it. And I thought, okay, so just by asking the question, he saw that I was invested in my child's education, not just from the standpoint of the schoolwork, but the cultural aspect of it as well.
Celeste, it's one thing to say there's a need. It's another thing to found an organization. I mean, I founded Matrix Group. There's some days when I think, wow, I didn't think it was going to be this hard. But I think you need a certain spark to actually do it. So what was that? Why did you finally say, here, I'm going to put my stake in the ground and do this? And do this with your daughter and son, which I love.
So I just got tired of hearing from managers and leaders that were trying to fill jobs. Oh, well, the diverse talent is just not out there in my niche discipline, or I just can't find all of the diverse talent that I want to see. And I just got tired of hearing that. And so that was from the world as it exists today type, their point of view. I knew that the talent was out there. Then from my daughter and my son, at the time, 5 years ago, they were both in college, undergraduate, and hearing them say, well, I kind of expected not to see a lot of teachers of color in high school where we live and everything. But when I got into college and I still didn't see a lot of it, I saw some of it, but I didn't see a lot of it. It was kind of like, wow, it's really surprising. And so hearing it from their point of view just made me think, I need to do something about this. I need to at least try and do something about this. And that's where the idea of creating a nonprofit where we could focus on children and young adults and high school kids and get them interested in it, get them to see people that look like them in these fields and connecting them with college students who are pursuing these degrees. It just all made sense to me from my viewpoint of the current labor market and then from my children's viewpoint of their world and what it looks like, which impacts the future of the labor market.
Yeah, I see how that works. When I was very involved in scouting, if we wanted the Cub Scouts to get inspired, we would bring in a Boy Scout. Because if we said something, it was one thing, but if it was somebody who was maybe a few years older, or maybe even 5, 10 years older, but they could see themselves in that Eagle Scout, man, that made all the difference.
That's exactly it.
Well, Celeste, let's turn to Destination STEM. It's a crowded space. There's a lot of organizations trying to get girls, kids of color interested in STEM. So what's your secret sauce? How are you standing out?
For us, we know how difficult it is to get kids interested in anything outside of what they have to do with school and maybe sports or clubs and things. So I think for us, we do a lot of things on the virtual platform. So we aren't limiting ourselves to our community near where we live, but we are reaching kids across the nation. Last year in the scholarships that we gave out, we didn't limit it to just people in the Philadelphia area. And we were able to give out scholarships to kids from Texas, from Arizona, et cetera. So I think, for us, it's making sure that we have that reach and that anyone from anywhere in the nation can access our materials through our virtual learning center. And then I think too, which is what I've heard from a lot of individuals that we've talked to, is the fact that we're a mother, a son, and a daughter who have started this. At the time, I didn't think that was so unique. But when I talk with people, they say, that is so great that you started this with your son and your daughter, and you guys are all working together. And I think that creates some sort of special sauce, I guess, because people see it and it seems to just cause attention. People seem to latch on that, which is really, really interesting because I didn't think it was that big of a deal, but it is.
Oh, I get that. I mean, I think that the idea that a family is doing this together is really kind of special, I think. You're in alignment, and it's something that 2 generations have decided is important enough for them to tackle.
Yes. And I'm learning so much from my son and my daughter, too, about their generation, just about all of these STEM fields and how kids these days are relating to them or not relating to them. Every day I learn something new from them.
Celeste, how's it going? You probably can gauge your success by growth in different areas, right? Like growth in the amount of money that you raise, growth in the number of students that you reach. How's it going?
Yeah, it was a slow uptick because I was still working full time the first 4 years, and my kids are still in school. My daughter's a first year vet student at Penn, and my son is in first year grad student. But there's a little bit more flexibility with them. And now that I am retired and doing consulting and I have the time to really dedicate to really do the work, it's going a lot better, the uptick. The activities that we've been able to participate in, the career fairs, the STEM expos, really engaging with different kids live and then nationally as well, connecting with different people has been really, really good. The fundraising, we still need help. The fundraising, the grant writing, all of that stuff is still something that we're on an upward trajectory on. But we were able to double the amount of scholarships we're going to be providing this year. And I'm really, really happy about that. So we have nowhere to go but up from here. So that's really exciting.
Celeste, what's working in terms of your fundraising and in terms of your outreach? Because again, it's crowded. If you have a student in Texas who found you, applied, and got a scholarship, how did that student find you? That's astounding.
Yeah, so it's our partnerships.
Okay.
There's two organizations in particular that have been fabulous as far as our outreach. The first is HBCU Connect. They are an organization that literally connects students in historically Black colleges and universities together and helps them with education, career counseling, scholarships, and all kinds of different educational resourcing. And they have a conference as well once a year. They have several virtual conferences as well. And they're connected with organizations and companies, recruiters and staffers, staffing consultants, so they can help these students. And so when we advertise with them our scholarships, we got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of scholarships. And so that brought our name out. And we also do webinars with them as well. And so that's one partnership. The other partnership is with Scholarship 360. They are an online outfit that connects students with scholarships. And so we listed our scholarships on their site and then began partnering with them on webinars and things like that as well. And so those are the types of partnerships where they have given us exposure and they have helped us to connect with other students nationwide.
Boy, that's amazing. You've got something coming up on June 11th. You've got an awards banquet. Tell us about that. It looks really exciting. I wish I were in Pennsylvania.
This is our fifth annual, so Big Five annual awards and recognition banquet. So during these banquets, we recognize our scholarship recipients and their families. And we also have a special honoree. And last year, for example, our fourth year, I was retiring. And so it was sort of a combination awards and recognition banquet, and then also a retiree sort of coming out for me and everything. This year, we're honoring someone who is a pastor at one of the large churches in Eastern Pennsylvania. He's also a board member of hospitals, YMCAs. He is a delegate to the Democratic National Party every year and just does so much in the community and beyond the faith-based community as well. We are honoring Charles Kwan this year. He's our special honoree. And we've been able to double the amount of scholarships that we provided. So we are looking forward to filling the venue with students, scholarship recipients, their families, people who believe in what we're doing in trying to get more students of color and students of need, education, guidance counselors. So we're just really, really excited about this event. And it's just something that we're very, very proud of. It's our big annual fundraiser of the year. Really helps us to, once we give out all these scholarships, to help us to build back in the coffers and do it again the next year.
Celeste, what's the big dream for Destination STEM?
The big dream is that we get funding to be able to put together not just annual banquets, but conferences where we bring students together and educate them on STEM fields. We educate them on how do you apply for scholarships. We educate them on preparing for college. We just want to be able to really help and guide high school students and middle school students, but really guide them in helping them to be that future STEM workforce that we need so desperately in the labor market.
Yeah, 100%. You know, my son is graduating this year with a degree in mechanical engineering. As far as I know, he's still going to be needed.
Very much so. Very much so.
Celeste, is there a story of one of your scholarship recipients that you'd like to share with us that maybe you've followed and you're so proud?
Well, yeah, let's see. There's a gentleman who graduated from the University of Minnesota, and he is from South Africa. I met him in an event that is sponsored by Princeton students, the International Students Conference. And I was speaking at this conference 3 years ago. And he came up and he just started talking to me, and he was kind of quiet, and he started talking to me about some of the things that he is doing. And I thought, wow, he is just this great kid. What he's doing now is he created his own nonprofit. He suffers from sickle cell, and it basically is to raise money for sickle cell awareness and research. And he's been able to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars through his efforts at the university and through his different connections. He's a phenomenal young person and has such energy in doing something that is so near and dear to him in helping other individuals. So he's somebody who I'm just so proud of, and we stay connected still to this very day.
So Celeste, tell me about his connection to Destination STEM. How are you supporting him?
Well, I support him by mentoring him.
Ah,
So we stay connected because he is still very, very young. And even though he's been wildly successful as a young person, he still is trying to navigate this world and this country because he's not from the United States. And so he still is trying to navigate customs and cultures and the political environment and all of these different things. And so, we talk occasionally about that. And then also, too, he's so proud of what he's been doing, but he's still shy. And I'd like to encourage him to make sure that he knows that he's seen, he's valued, and he's empowered to keep doing what he's doing.
It sounds like you're really providing support on so many fronts, financially, spiritually, emotionally. And so, Celeste, I just want to thank you for being on the podcast today. Thank you for all that you're doing for students and for the industries that in the future are going to benefit from all these students who then go on to have amazing STEM careers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation to talk about Destination STEM.
Thanks for listening to Associations Thrive. We're so glad to have you here. My personal mission and the mission of my company, Matrix Group International, is to help associations and nonprofits increase membership, generate revenue, and thrive in the digital space. I want to hear stories of how your organization is thriving in today's challenging landscape. Please apply to be on my show by going to podcast.matrixgroup.net. By the way, do you need help with a digital initiative? Maybe it's a website redesign, a new membership database, or a hybrid meeting that you're planning. I'd love to connect with you. Please visit the Matrix Group website at matrixgroup.net. Thanks again for listening to this week's episode of Associations Thrive. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star rating, post a comment, and share it with your colleagues and friends.